Hello everyone, I'm Chris Wynn. Welcome to the ROKER RAPPORT podcast in association with the Sunderland Community Soup Kitchen as we build up to the first Weird Heath clash in over 4 years. The lads travelled down to the U19 on the back of an impressive result and performance over Rotherham in midweek, and Middlesbrough surprisingly won only one of the first 7. And of course the fixture in front of the Sky cameras now has an added twist following the appointment of Tony Mowbray. So to help us dissect all of this, we're very pleased to have the company of Stephen Jackson from the 12th Man Boro podcast. Hello, Stephen.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, good to have you on. How are you keeping, mate?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. So the 12th Man podcast, how long's that been going then? How long that's been up and running?
We've been going for just over 3 years now, talking all things Boro. Sometimes good debate, sometimes it's nice and happy, as you probably find out yourselves after a good win. Most of the times it's frustration, but it's a good lively debate, and it's just a good way of it's not just exclusive to us. I mean, we're predominantly as the 12th man, we're predominantly behind it all, but we do get fans on, and we have nice lively debates and different opinions. So yeah, it's really good. It's really enjoyable to do.
Yeah, you want to try doing a podcast after you've gotten scraped a 1-1 draw against Accrington Stanley, mate. That's a tough one.
Well, one thing we did under your new manager was we got beat by Accrington, so I know exactly how that feels. So
yeah, it's has that slightly different feeling when you're fighting it out in the same division, which is hopefully a distant memory for us now. But yeah, I was taking a look actually in the 12th Man podcast, and I took a quick look at your podcast merchandise because as a Sunderland fan, I was absolutely loving the Hummel gear that on the picture on your Twitter on your Twitter page, because I think Sunderland fans, or most Sunderland fans of a certain age, are a bit of a sucker for anything Hummel. But I mean, in terms of you personally, how far do you go back with Boro?
oh God, I've been supporting Boro since I was 4 or 5 years old, so nearly 30 years following the lads. Just up and down the country. Everything's apart from yourselves miles away from us, so it's always a trek going anywhere. Never fruitful wherever we go. It's very rare we get success. But it's a love-hate relationship. I love to hate them, and they love to wind me up. But I could never change it for the world.
So you're just from that kind of privileged generation that saw all of those stars in the kind of late 90s, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's say I just missed the doom and gloom of Mogga taking us through the abyss, I suppose. Obviously coming out of administration, potential liquidation, moving out of Ayrton Park to the Riverside where we are now. But yeah, lots of good memories following Ravanelli, Emerson, Janino, the lesser stars like Hignett, Fjortoft, Musto. And obviously you move it on to the European days, and obviously they were some of the most incredible days I've ever experienced in my life. Never thought I'd ever see it following the Boro, but very privileged to say that I've seen all them days, and they seem a distant memory at the moment. But we always pray. We can always pray we do a Leicester one day, I suppose.
Yeah. It probably says a lot about me that you went through all of those international stars, and the name that jumped out was Robbie Musto, as far as I'm concerned. but yeah, because I kind of I'll go back to the Bernie Slaven days. It's amazing to think it was only kind of a decade between, as you said, those dark days, and then the likes of Ravanelli signing. I mean, incredible journey. But I mean, let's tackle the kind of Sunderland Middlesbrough relationship from a fan's perspective from the off. I mean, let's get that out of the way. I mean, from my perspective, I mean, I don't particularly look out for Middlesbrough results like I might do with Newcastle, say, but when we come together and play each other, it does feel like a big game and does have that kind of derby feel to it, and I think it's a good thing. I mean, you want to have games that have a bit of an edge, like the one on Monday. And I'm glad we've got this to play, because it's been a while for Sunderland, to be honest, since we've had a game that's felt like this. But I mean, what's your take on that relationship, and how do you think the majority of Boro fans feel about the fixture?
I mean, we've always had the everything battened at us. It's not a derby. We don't care about you. It's all this, all that. But as you'll rightly said there, as you'll see on Monday, that will change. And I don't want to say hate, because hate's a bad word, but we dislike each other as much as each other. You know what I mean? It's we care about this derby. We really do. It's our closest derby. There's some of the Sunderland fans will say, "Well, you've got Hartlepool up the road." Well, we don't play Hartlepool, right? We haven't played Hartlepool in the league for many, many years. But yeah, I don't look out for Sunderland results like you obviously don't look out for the Boro. But I've got to say, I did hope that he did win the playoff final. I was hoping because I did want that derby game back. Obviously, it's been 4 years since we've had it. It's been a while. It's nice to get 6 points back on the board again, I suppose. So it's it's a game we've missed. The excitement, the thrill, the lead up to it. Obviously, chats like this. Everybody's building up to it. It's just a shame we've got to wait till Monday because of Sky. But apart from that, everybody's buzzing for it. We're all ready for it. It's going to be a near full Riverside. It's a full away, and it's what you live for as a football fan.
Well, exactly. That's what I said. I mean, it's just nice to have these games with that edge to it. I think we haven't had that for kind of quite a few years at Sunderland, to be honest. I mean, just going back. I mean, talking of all those kind of glory days before, with some of those huge names that played for Middlesbrough. I mean, looking back, I was looking earlier. There was only kind of one season that Middlesbrough spent outside of the Premier League in 14 seasons following the appointment of Brian Robson, but in the 14 seasons since relegation in 2008, 2009, there's only been one season where Middlesbrough have actually been in the Premier League. I mean, just comparing that to Sunderland in recent years, which has been a bit of a ridiculous roller coaster. I mean, does it feel like Middlesbrough have just been plodding along for quite a few years now?
It does at the moment. I mean, obviously, since we came back down from the Premier League with yourselves in 2017, it was. We've always had that ambition to get ourselves back up there. We obviously had them a couple of years where Woodgate, nearly took us down, and then Warnock, stabilised us and put us back to mid-table to push towards a playoff run again. But we've always had it's always been stability, and we've always been within our means, and it's been frustrating because all we want is to be back in the Premier League. We were founding members. We've spent more seasons in the Premier League than not. It's been frustrating, but as I say, you probably summed it up right. We've been stable in the Championship, but I'm hoping what we have now, our situation now, can give us a little stepping stone towards the promised land again.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I was just having a look at some of the managers who've actually had a go since actually Gareth Southgate left, I suppose. I mean, there've been some pretty big names in there who've tried to kind of get promotion. I mean, other than Karanka, who actually achieved it for that 1 year, but Gordon Strachan, obviously Tony Mowbray, who I'm sure we'll come back onto. He had a few years. Gary Monk, Tony Pulis, Neil Warnock, and then I'll come on to the current manager Chris Wilder in a few minutes, but. There's only been 2 years out of those that you've actually made the playoffs. I mean, has it just been a case of not getting the right man, or have they not been backed? I mean, what's the biggest issues over the years?
Well, obviously when Southgate left, I didn't agree with Southgate going. It was the wrong. You either get rid of him when we go down, or you give him a season to try and get us back up. And he got, I'd say, a third of the way through, and we gave him the boot, which I thought was a bit harsh at the time. Strachan came in, spent. I'd probably say every last inch of our money, our parachute money on players from Scotland, which was wasn't the most fruitful of projects that he took over, and it was a massive failure. It was so poor, and obviously then Mogga took over. I love Mowbray, I really do, but I think we all do.
We'll come back to that,
but as I say, we'll come back to that one. He had to stabilise the club a lot. We had to balance the books quite a lot under Mowbray. He never got the money that is then obviously his successor Karanka got. So he stabilised the ship. Karanka took over and took us to where we should have been, to be quite honest. And that's where it's been. And obviously we came back down. Monk did exactly what Strachan did. Spent all our money. Brought in players like Assombalonga, Fletcher. Big players, big money, and it didn't work. And I think our chairman's realised that, and we've tried to reel it back in. That's where Warnock was really good, because he could find players for bargain prices. he brought in some bargain players. Uche came in from Wickham when they went down. Wasn't the best talented player, but he was a bargain. He knew where the goal was. He got us some goals. And I say Tony Pulis. I mean, everybody knows what Tony Pulis. His football's not the most exciting, but he does the job. And he got us in the playoffs, and he did. But it was probably one of the most wasted playoff campaigns I've ever known in my life. One shot on target in 2 games, and it didn't come to the 89th minute of the second leg. So it was just really frustrating. But that's where we've been. We've had a goal, then we've had to back off. Then we've had a goal, we've had to back off, and we're now in a position where the whole club's changed. There's a completely different structure behind the scenes, and we've now got a man, as I say, we'll talk about in a few minutes, in Wilder, that's just took us to another level, and everything's there to them to step up, and it is coming. It is coming.
Yeah, I mean, just quickly there, because you kind of mentioned, you've mentioned stability, you've mentioned managers having money to spend, and obviously behind that you've got Steve Gibson, who's been there since 1994, I think, or around that, early 90s, and I imagine he's kind of has legendary status. I mean, but does he ever get any sort of stick for managerial decisions or anything along those lines?
Oh, massively. I mean, he's getting stick today. He's getting stick today for not. He's back to the club this summer. We brought in 10 new faces into the squad. We've done a completely new rebuild, and he's getting back. He's getting harassed off the fans today. So he gets as much stick as any other person in the club. Everybody's scrutinised. It's just the way North East football is. We always want the best for our clubs, and but yeah, when we come down to it, when all that gets pushed aside, he's like God to us. He saved our club. He came to get the Ayresome Gates with the big key and said, "I'll take the chain off," and he saved us. And he's done everything since to keep this club going as best as possible. He's put his hand in his own pocket. He's been an absolute godsend, and we'll always love him for it, and he'll always be a legend at this club.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. And you mentioned the summer business that you've you've been doing, because I suppose I'll give a spoiler that we're recording a couple hours or a few hours before the window slams shut.
Yeah.
Quite a few players brought in, like you said, either permanently or on loan. The 2 that caught the eye for me was Irish international Darragh Lennon and Marco Foss from Brentford. But I mean, what's the feeling on the business that you've been able to get done?
We're excited by the business because it's been areas of the pitch where we needed to build and become stronger and have a bit more, I suppose, options and then positions as well. Obviously, you mentioned there Lenihan coming in, massive option at the back. He's a leader as well. We just brought in Matt Clark. He's another great option, left outside centre back. The most exciting options we brought in is Rodrigo Muniz, who's just come in from Fulham. He's a fantastic option. Made his full debut on Tuesday night. It's fantastic portrait of the ball. He knows where the goal is. That's exactly what we needed. And the guy that put the ball in, Ryan Giles, he's been touted by many clubs in the Championship. He's got a wonder of a left foot. They're the players that we're most excited about. But like you said there, Marcus Force, he comes in, he can do a job. Matthew Hoppe, who's just coming from Real Mallorca, he's relatively unknown to people in the UK. But if you watch, German football or La Liga, you'll know exactly who he is. He's an exciting talent that's coming through the ranks, and he's hoping for a World Cup spot as well. So we've done some really good business, and it's really exciting that with one more addition, I think our squad's pretty much ready.
Yeah. I mean, with that in mind, I want to get into obviously this season and the story so far in a moment. But I mean, going back to before a ball was kicked, I mean, it seemed to me like everything was pointing to this being the year Boro would do really well, especially Chris Wilder doing so well last season after his appointment. But there was lots of pundits backing Boro for promotion. But where were the fans' expectation before a ball was kicked?
Oh, they were exactly where the pundits were. They were expecting Wilder to come in, score 100 and some points and win the league by an absolute canter. But honestly, that's how some fans felt. But I think we all had the expectation it has to be minimum of top 6 this year. We had the nucleus of the squad was already there. We still had strong players in the squad. We still do now. In Dale Fry, Johnny House, and Matt Crooks. They're all still here. Isaiah Jones. He's one of the most exciting right wingers, I'd probably say, in English football. There's a lot of teams looking at him. People keep saying, "Why have you let Jed Spence go?" Just watch Isaiah Jones. That's all we can say. We're quite happy with the money we got, and but we were exactly with the pundits. We thought we still think. We're not going to give up yet. That promotion is the aim, and that's where we've got to aim as a football club.
Yeah, as I mentioned in the intro, it hasn't quite gone to plan so far. 1 win and 3 defeats in the first 7. I mean, is that a little bit of a concern, or are the performances there and you're just not getting what you deserve out of games?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, obviously, the concern's starting to creep in. The longer it goes with just the 1 win, it was like before the win we got at the weekend against Swansea. The longer it goes before the first win, you're going to get more and more concerned. But as I say, the performances are there. There's mistakes that are creeping in that you want to try and cut out, but you're always going to get them sort of mistakes when you've got a new set of players coming together and learning how to how one player likes to play and how the other one likes to move, and the passing, the integration, the movement. It's all new to all these players. They haven't played together for too long. This squad's really new, but it's there. I mean, even when we went 3-0 down at QPR, we still should have got a point at that game. We were absolutely miles behind the pace, and we still could have got a point. The game that's just gone Tuesday night, we deserved a point minimum from Watford. I say the only game we really didn't deserve anything was Reading. Obviously, we got beat 1-0 there, and it's frustrating because everything's there. There's just something missing, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, you've mentioned, we're talking about Chris Wilder already. I mean, he's going to, they've been there a year in November, but from what you've hinted at already, it sounds like Boro fans are just right behind him, and it sounds like you're excited to see how he's going to bring this squad on.
Oh, okay. I'd say you've always got that little, that 1-2% that are looking to, I don't trust him. I don't think he's the man to take us forward. But the main section of fans, they say, we're fully behind him. We believe he's the right person to take us forward. He's got the history in this league. He's took Sheffield United from League One to the Premier League, playing exactly how we're playing. He's got form. He knows how to get teams out of this league, and he knows how to keep teams in the Premier League as well. And that's where we want to be, really. We want to get out of this league as quick as possible. Without being too disrespectful in the Championship, which I do think is one of the best leagues in the world. We don't want to be in it anymore. We want to be in the Premier League, and we do believe that we've got the right man to take us there. Everything's there. Everything's in place. We just have to put it all together now.
Yeah, well, I imagine actually it's kind of getting a bit tired of the Championship, to be honest. It was 13 years out the last 14. You just want a bit of a change. But exactly. I mean, but those, talking about results though, getting the points on the board, do you think the fans will just stick with Chris Wilder and say, well, he needs to get the squad built, in his image as he wants to play? Or do you think, maybe come the new year, if you're in the wrong half of the table, there might be a little bit of unrest?
I think there's going to be that split. There's a lot of expectation this year. There's a lot of pressure on Wilder. As you said, all the pundits from outside the club are all looking in and saying, you're the team we're looking at alongside the Norwich, the Watfords, the Sheffield Uniteds. We're being looked at as one of the favourites. So there's a lot of pressure on him this year. But as I say, the main majority of fans will stick right behind him. We fully believe that where we are now is a false position, and we will fully climb up that table, and we will push for the top 6 and possibly top 2. And it's there's no ifs or buts about it for me. The fans will get right behind Wilder, and we follow him everywhere as we always do. And I just feel that that's how it'll be for the rest of the season.
Based on that, I'm going to go and check the odds on Boro to get promoted. It might be a decent price at the minute, actually. But
it probably will, to be fair.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, but speaking of managers, we've mentioned them a few times already without actually speaking about them. But Sunderland's new manager, Of course, Tony Mowbray, 9 years as a player, 3 years as a manager at Middlesbrough. I mean, you've already kind of touched on your feelings about him, but would most Boro fans like to see him do well, or is it going to be, mixed feelings to say, well, actually, no, he's at Sunderland now. He's finished with me.
Oh, this is a tough question. It's a really tough because of obviously the relationship we have with Sunderland. It's after if I'm going to be fair, after Monday, yeah, we'll wish him well. Whatever he does, he does. But until then, no, no. He's got the same sort of status as Steve Gibson up here. Back in the dark days of the mid-80s when we were just about to go out of business, he was one of the heroes. Sacrificed everything. He forgoed his wages, the whole lot, to make sure that we had every single penny to keep this club alive. And we can I will anyway. We'll always be thankful for that man. Being one of the reasons that my club's still about. So he'll always be a hero to me, but I won't be looking at that touchline on Monday. I can't look at him. I can't look at him in that tracksuit. I really can't. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot. But after Monday, he can do what he wants after Monday. I'm not bothered.
Yeah, be interesting to see if Sunderland become some Middlesbrough fans' second side moving forward.
I don't know about
that. I mean, just on we talked about midweek and the trip to the capital to take on Watford, which it's going to be a tough place to go this year for anyone in the Championship. Went down 2-1, injury time goal. And you took the lead, as you said, after only a few minutes. But I mean, I expect that not just for the fans that was a blow, but I imagine for the players, coming so close to taking something away from Watford and not quite getting anything.
Yeah, it was a bit of a sucker punch because I think even it got to the point where Watford thought, yeah, I think the point's probably right. I think if anybody looking from the outside in, you look at the stats, you look at the highlights as well. The game was quite even. I know they had. I mean, you look at their front two. Their front two's worth, was it 30 million apiece? It's worth more than our squad combined. And we did really well to keep them quiet. I know they had that bit of quality that got them the first goal, but as I say, the winner was just a massive sucker punch. They really did catch us, a scuff shot that fell to a young lad's feet and he put it away. But it still gives us a bit of promise because we really did put them on the back foot for a majority of that game, and they really did feel the pressure from ourselves. And if we can take that forward and start building on that, because there's just little pieces that just aren't quite going together. But we had a couple of injuries that came out of that game. They say Lenihan and Howson came off as well, so there was a couple of reshuffles that had to happen. McNair going back into midfield, his versatility was helping in a way. But as I say, if we can take it forward and we build on that, it won't look such a bad result because, like you said there, no one's going to go to Watford this year and have the run of the mill. I know QPR went there the weekend and won, but as I say, that was a tight, close game, and that's how it is going to be all season. Going to Vicarage Road, it's going to be a tough place to go.
Yeah. And I was looking at the kind of formation and how you set up, and looking at thinking about how Chris Wilder sets up. I mean, is it a similar style, to how we had Sheffield United playing with kind of the defenders overlapping down the flanks, or does he do anything a bit different with Middlesbrough?
It's exactly the same. If you put us in, God forbid, red and white stripes, you'd think we were just another Sheffield United. It's exactly the same. The wing backs bomb on. If you don't keep an eye on Giles and Jones, you are in real bother because at the first opportunity they'll either take you on or they'll put the ball in the box. There's no hiding from it. They're so direct. It's something we've missed so much as well, the past few years. We've always been that team that goes side to side to side to side. One of them years under Mowbray, funnily enough. So you'll have that to look forward to. We're now direct and we've got centre backs going forward. We've got strikers that want the ball in the box. They're not fighting to get a shot off. We've got midfielders that are pushing forward. We've always got that anchor that will sit there in front of the back three. And we've got three at the back, no matter who goes in, that are strong, are physical, and they want to get in your face. So it's a proper, I want to say a proper steely team because link it with the Sheffield United team, the Steel City Teeside being obviously, where steel was made. We built the world. We built a team that is strong, and that's how teams are going to look at us. And if we get in your face and we get as physical as we can, it's going to be a tough team. It's going to be a tough game for any team coming in.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say there because at the moment we play a three at the back with wing backs, but it sounds like your wing backs want to attack, ours want to attack, so it could be in the wide areas where the game actually kind of is won or lost really on Monday night.
Yeah, I completely agree. I say I've had a look obviously before our chat at a couple of bits of highlights that I've seen, and you're absolutely right. You've got your wing backs bombing on, and I think the only difference literally is your centre backs don't go with them like the wider centre backs. Ours do. We've had Dijksteel going forward. We've now got Matt Clark going forward. Paddy McNair, when he's back in the centre half position, he goes forward. We've always got one sitting back, but the rest go forward. So it's like in a weird way, it's like a 1-4-3-2 kind of formation without being a 3-5-2. It's very attacking. It's very focused on getting the ball and pushing forward. We're not afraid to give it a go, which is exactly what Boro fans have been missing, and what makes it exciting football to watch.
But just on that point, I mean, in terms of being attacking, because even though kind of overall it hasn't been the best of starts, you're still unbeaten at home. 2 draws against West Brom and Sheffield United and a win over Swansea so far. So, I mean, but it sounds like your style of play suits playing at home.
It does. I think that's something we targeted a lot as well. Under Warnock, we could, for the first 10, 12 games under Warnock, we couldn't win at home for love of the money. We could go away from home and we could nick them results, nick them 1-0s, 2-1s, a typical Warnock win that you like to say. But home games, we struggled so much. We suffered really bad defeats. 3-0s to Bristol Cities, losing to Preston at home, Wickham coming to us on the last day of the season a couple of years ago and beating us. That's what we were. Now we're completely different now. They say we're very forward thinking. We're very on the front foot, in your face, and we're a very fit team. That's one thing I've noticed as well. Like obviously, the first few games you're going to see players pulling up with cramp. Let's waste a little bit of time doing that. Not one of our players has done that yet, and I feel very proud of that because the one thing I hate is the last 2 minutes someone going, "Oh, will you sort my cramp out on my leg?" And you think, "Get up. Come on." And one of our players has done that, and I feel like pre-season has really pushed us to the next step. And you could just tell the Wilder's got such an influence on this squad now.
Yeah, and talking about fitness, actually, it's just reminded us Duncan Watmore was on the bench in midweek, and I think there's a decent amount of Sunderland fans who'd like to see him do well. But how's he been getting on since he signed a couple of years ago?
He's obviously had his injury issues. I think he's going to be one of those players, unfortunately, he's going to have knocks that are going to put him, out of sync kind of thing. But he's scored some massive goals for Boro. He's got a couple of goals this season as well, but he's still got. I mean, you probably found it when he was a Sunderland player. There's them chances where he's 1-on-1 where he should be putting them away, and he's not quite putting them away, and not often enough. And that's the thing that's holding him back. But bring him off the bench, he's absolutely fantastic. There was games last year. He was absolutely influential. The win at Old Trafford, the win against Spurs. Just to pick them names out for you. He was absolutely fantastic, and he's been a fantastic player for us since he signed on a free, obviously when he left yourselves. And he's had his troubles, but he's very much a very valuable part of our squad.
Yeah, I'd like to see him do well, especially keep fit. Hopefully, is the first thing I think for Duncan Watmore. But I mean, it's our first meeting since November 2017 at the Riverside when you beat us 1-0 as we were on our way to League One, and we haven't won a game at your place since September 2005 when we were particularly crap in the Premier League. Tommy Miller and Julio Arca scored the goals on that day. So, going off our record, travelling down the road, you must be pretty confident of a result on Monday.
Yeah. To be quite honest, I mean, like you, I've obviously done my homework on the stats. Obviously, ready for us to have a chat about it. And all competitions, you haven't beat us in 10 years now since the FA Cup replay. When Sessegnon scored an extra time, that's the last time we saw someone beat us. We beat you in the Carabao Cup, we beat you in the league. You got that very fortunate draw just before you went down 4 years ago. we've got a pretty decent record against you lot. I'm quite happy about. Obviously, it's a bit like the same when you look at the Newcastle games. You've got a pretty decent record against them. You're quite happy about that. But yeah, we're pretty confident. We're pretty happy with how things might go on Monday. There's always them nerves. Don't lose, just don't lose. But as I say, we haven't lost against you in a while, so I'm pretty confident going into Monday night. Yeah.
Yeah, well, especially on the road. If you offered us a draw, I'd probably snap your hand off right now as we sit here. To be honest, depend on the nerves start kicking in close to the time. But are you going to the game yourself?
Yes, I will be there. All those 12-man lads will be there, cheering us on. We're not at the end of the drum. Don't worry, we're not them. We're at the other end. But we'll be where we usually are, giving the lads everything as we usually do. We all can't wait. It's the first game we look for, and the fixtures come out, and to have it so early in the season, it's going to be a massive boost for us.
Yeah, and as you said, are you expecting a full house or close to a full house?
It is close to a full house now. For a game you lot don't consider a derby, you sold your tickets really quickly. So we're doing the same. We've got there's very few tickets and very few blocks now, so it's going to be a decent showing for the telly on Monday night. It's going to be a pretty lively atmosphere from both ends, I think.
Yeah, it should be an absolute cracker. And on that note, it just leaves me to say thank you very much, Stephen. It's been an absolute pleasure. And, following Monday, of course, all the best for the season ahead, mate.
Yeah, following Monday. But yeah, after your 3-0 defeat, I do what you want after that. But yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Nice one. Thanks again, Stephen. And thanks again for everyone listening. Keep a lookout at ROKER Report for all of the build-up ahead of the game on Monday. But from us, bye for now.